I assume you watch volumes of Xavier tape at this point. What do you see? Obviously, they can make a lot of threes.
Yeah, they've done a nice job making some adjustments. After the Santa Clara game, you could see they made some adjustments to lineup, some adjustments to the style of play. And the shooting at every position is very noticeable. The passing, the movement offensively, they're very positionally sound defensively. They've really improved as a team here over the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's been very noticeable on tape.
How difficult is it when a team has a 4 and 5 that shoot the number of threes that they do and stretch you out and kind of play more of a 5-out style at a high major level? I know you're used to it in the bye game sometimes.
It's just it's unique. As you mentioned with your question, it's unique to have the majority of lineups where the 4 and the 5 are prolific three-point shooters and decision makers. It's not unheard of in today's game. I think we have lineups we can do that too, but the majority of their lineups, those two guys, I think both of them made 5 in a game already, or 5 and 4 respectively. So, yeah, that's unique and something you certainly have to prepare for.
Is a part of you looking forward to seeing how your team reacts to such a hostile environment, like going in and Centos, and how they manage the ups and downs of this rivalry game?
Yeah, I think, we all are, the games are fun, right? As competitors, and the moment that the games aren't fun, then you guys can catch me on the first tee. Seriously, like, the games are fun, and so then, the higher the level of the game, the more excitement there is. So yeah, there's always excitement for all. We're going to play a ton of big games, and they all matter, and they're all big to me. But the Big 12 games and the Power 4 games and the games in big environments, yeah, that stuff's fun. There's no coach speak here. That stuff's fun. Competitors enjoy those type of things, and yeah, I think there's excitement about that.
What did you learn? Obviously, Xavier completely different this year, new coach, new team entirely. But what did you learn from winning last year about this game?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a great answer there. I just think that experiencing, the game now for a handful of years, I think I have an appreciation for what it means to this community, the importance of it historically. Again, we're going to play a lot of big games and a lot of meaningful games. And I don't even mean to say that none of them are meaningful. They're all meaningful, but we're going to play a lot of games where there's a lot of excitement. But this one's special because it means so much to Cincinnati. And I've learned to really appreciate that, respect that, and just, appreciative that I get to experience a rivalry like that.
When you're going into a big game, especially the Crosstown, how do you balance as a coach? It's a nameless face opponent versus, hey, there's some extra juice to this one.
Again, it'll sound like coach speak. It's not. I think the things that matter, they matter whether you're going into the Crosstown Shootout or whether you're going into, your second week of preseason practice. Like, the things that matter, which is getting better every day, winning the details, investing in the things that you value. That's what you're going to spend your time and attention on. So things don't change a lot, but there's a different feeling in the air. In weeks like this, I've learned that around here, because all of a sudden you walk in here and there's a lot more people sitting here and there's a lot more cameras. And so I think there's a different feeling in the air. There's an excitement, as Keegan mentioned with his question, but the way that you approach it, a lot of it's very similar because you stick to the basics and your values.
Coach, when you look down at this matchup, the Crosstown Shootout every year, you kind of see between rosters of guys who have been in this matchup 2, 3, 4 different times throughout their college career, but what's so unique about it this year is Day Thomas is the only guy on your guys' side with more than 1, 2 Crosstown Shootouts under his belt. Xavier has nobody who's played in this matchup before. Essentially, how unique is this matchup this year with new rosters, new landscape of college basketball?
I'd just say that's unique historically, and it's normal in 2025, And again, I don't get into the business of complaining or anything like that. And my job is to get better today and get our team ready to play. But that's unfortunately unique historically, but normal now.
You mentioned Xavier's ability to shoot the ball. What type of other challenges does a guy like Trey Carroll present for you guys?
Yeah, well, he's one of those guys that shoots it, so I think that's very clear. But he can do quite a bit more, and there's times watching the tape where he's got the ball coming over the 10-second line as to kind of trigger in the beginning of their offense. They'll just throw it to him in the backcourt. He can drive it. He can finish. We talked about his shooting. He can play make. He's a really versatile player in the front court for him and presents a lot of problems for opponents.
What has Baba told you about Trey, and what is their relationship? And does that make that more interesting? There's two guys that played together last year.
I haven't had a conversation with Baba about it yet. I'm sure that the Jalen Stowe, who has the scout, I'm sure he's asked Baba questions because he's in charge of the personnel and the scouting report of personnel. But personally, I haven't talked to Baba about it.
They've obviously made, you talked about the roster change or the lineup changes that they've made. They've gone for more skill over some of the size that they had at the beginning of the season. How much do you look at that and say maybe there's an opportunity? They haven't been great, 2-point defense, get downhill, try to be aggressive and do the things that defensively they've shown to be uncomfortable with?
Yeah, I think it's normal in every game, Chad, to try to build an offensive game plan without losing the essence of what you're trying to do every day. I think that's like the real craft to game planning in college basketball is like you got to be you, and you got to do the things that you work on all year and let your players be themselves. And then you got to try to find some edges, and that's every game. With them, it's easy to say that when you kind of look at like lineup changes, as you mentioned, but they're really positionally sound defensively. And so if you've looked here at these last couple games, when you drive the ball, they do a good job of coming out. It's not just easy to get downhill. They've done some different things in pick and roll coverages to keep people off balance, whether they're hard hedging or getting back. They're rotating well. Like they have, you mentioned they might not have traditional centers because they can pick and pop and shoot out there, but they have really good positional size. And I think the guy that starts at the 3 is 6'9", and some of these guys you hadn't seen in person, but it appears on tape they're big and they're back in good position defensively. So that might sound smart, but it doesn't look as easy when teams have put their head down and just tried to bowl their way to the paint in the last couple games.
I don't know how much you followed Richard Pitino's career before coming to Xavier, but what stands out to you about his coaching style?
Yeah, it's funny. I've known Richard a long time. Have a lot of respect for him. Think a lot of him. I think at one point we were both two of the youngest guys in this as head coaches for years. We were both in our 20s, I believe, or early 30s. It's been a long time now, but so that was always something that came up years and years ago. But no, I have a good relationship with Richard. Think highly of him. And I've had that relationship long before he was the coach at Xavier, right? But, just always watched his teams when he was, I think, at Florida Atlantic, then Minnesota, and then I was really impressed with the job he did at New Mexico. And then here early in the season, just a really nice pivot to make a change, and they're playing better, but he's a terrific coach and, somebody I've always had a good relationship with.
Anything else for Coach?
How much do you look at, they've mixed in some zone, they haven't played a lot of zone. Is that something you have to spend an equal amount of time on?
Yeah, you guys are getting into the X and O's today. That's good. They jumped into a 1-3-1 in the last game, right? No, I think that's the normal stuff. You're trying to prepare your team for every game with things like that. So it's normal. I think around college basketball, you hear this from colleagues. When you've coached guys for 2 and 3 and 4 years, you have everything ready, right? You're like at Day-Day, if we saw the 1-3-1 and we hadn't covered it, Day-Day would know what to do, but nobody else would, right? We had a guy in the game, last game, this is our tired signal. So if you know, a player, if they point their fist at the bench to me, that says I need a sub, I'm tired. And we have a rule about tired signals where if you give a tired signal, which we love because that means you played your tail off, you keep playing your tail off until the next whistle blows. And then you can put yourself back in the game. So you can you get your blow and walk. Now you can't trick the system like you can't know your rotation's about to be up and give the tired signal. We don't allow that. But you guys get the idea. Somebody plays so dang hard that they can feel it, try to give the tired signal, come out of the game, and then walk back to the table and we'll put you in. You tell us you're going back and we'll put you in. And it's something I've done my entire career. Played for a coach that did that, and I really respected it. So I say that because we're in the last game in an out-of-bounds situation, and Bob Miller's looking my way doing this, and he was really calling out a defensive call. And I thought he was giving the tired signal. So, immediately, you want to get them out, right? Because that means they're too tired. So, and he hadn't played in 8 days. So you send somebody to the table, and he's going like he didn't understand. I'm like, you gave me the tired signal. I said, no, I didn't. Well, hell, I didn't want to take Bob Miller out of the game. So it just stuff like that. And you can laugh about. I mean, I laughed about it during the game. That's the kind of stuff in today's college basketball that we're all kind of dealing with in the first 2 months of a season or the first 6-7 weeks of a season that you only dealt with in the first year of a job before, right? That's like year one stuff. But most of college basketball's dealing with it. So if it goes into preparation too, right? You can only do so much in the time you have. You try to focus on the nuts and bolts, but you also try to prepare for the game. I'd say that 80% of us are in the same boat. Now the cool thing is when you get to January, people catch up and we'll make sure we're tight by January.